Hey, it's Sam. So I'm making this video to discuss Venus in Libra. So, of course, Venus is the ruler of Libra. So anytime a planet is in its own sign, it operates at a very high level. And the quality of Libra that we see in Venus is this quality of accommodation, this quest for beauty, this quest for interacting with others in a harmonious way, in a way that brings value and mutual respect to the other person. These are all qualities of Venus, and particularly how those qualities come through when Venus is in Libra or when other planets are in Libra. Libra is the masculine quality of Venus. So it's important to understand that the signs get their attributes from the planets that rule them. Other quality of Venus is Taurus, which is more internal, reflective, earthy. It's about gathering and holding. It's not necessarily about that active interaction and interplay that we see from the sign of Libra. So the masculine, extroverted, external quality of Venus, when we initiate Venus energy, is shown by the sign of Libra. So of course when Venus is there in its own sign, these things become much more, palpable and much more desiring. We desire to have that thing a lot more. And we're congruent with the energy itself. So any planet in Libra has this motivation. But sometimes that motivation interrupts what the planet does. This desire to accommodate another person is not necessarily congruent with every planetary energy. But of course it is with Venus, because Venus is the source of that as well. So you can always expect that there will be a greater desire for partnership, and a desire and in fact a quality of initiating partnerships when Venus goes into Libra. So for instance, partnerships that have been problematic, let's say over the last few months or something like that, if it's a transit in the sky, you'll see perhaps an opportunity to reach out to the person. Again, you have to understand everything is a cycle. So when Venus enters Libra, it has just been in Cancer, Leo, and Virgo. And of course, Virgo is the sign where Venus is debilitated. So particularly the last couple transits, when Venus goes through Leo and Virgo, it's very either self-interested and self-motivated, which is Leo, or sort of irritable, cranky, fault-finding, nitpicky, which is when Venus goes through Virgo. So then by the time Venus goes into Libra, many times what happens is we reconnect and we initiate contact with people maybe that we've gotten into arguments with recently. Again, that's if it's a transit in the sky. If it's in someone's natal chart, then of course the planet had just gone through that. But then in the natal chart, it's more of a fixed quality of the individual. So if Venus is in Libra in your chart, then you just naturally have this desire to initiate contact, bring people together, compromise and harmonize energy, not just from yourself, but with others in your environment. And again, sometimes that's beneficial and helpful, sometimes it's not. When you read an individual birth chart, you have to look at a lot of things. But that's going to be the motivation, and usually something that brings enjoyment and beauty to the person's life. It'll be a function of the person's life. If someone has Venus in their natal chart, Venus in Libra in the natal chart, this will be something that's very prominent in their world, and something that they find a lot of joy in doing, bringing people together, organizing things, or whether they're personal, like on a romantic sense, or in a romantic sense, or even sort of cultural, or in a business sense, where they like to go out and be social and sociable around people. In general, you would assume and expect that. In addition, again, because one of the ways Venus brings this about is through being attached and attracted to things that are beautiful. Because of course, it's beautiful to interact with people in a harmonious way, but it's also beautiful to create, let's say, art and music and appreciate those things and be drawn to those things. So again, when Venus goes through Libra, it's a time when we want to do those things. It draws our mind and attention to that thing. And if it's in a natal chart, a person will often be an artist or be artistic and surround themselves with beauty. It'll be a kind of standard. So this is the other thing to realize about when a planet is in its own sign. It's actually a higher standard than when the planet is weak. If a planet is weak, often we tend to avoid that thing. It's kind of a sore spot for us. So when, let's say, if Venus is in Virgo, for instance, it might tend to, because we tend to be fault-finding in, let's say, social situations, it tends to make us awkward. Or let's say it's a hard time for us we have a hard time appreciating music or beauty or other things. We might tend to want to avoid that because it's an uncomfortable thing. When Venus, let's say, is in Libra, it's something that we enjoy, so we do it a lot. We might do it too much. We might compromise too much, or always feel like we're compromising too much, even when we're not. So if Venus is in Libra in a natal chart, and also when it's in the sky, we have to be careful that we're so able to compromise with another person that we just do it by default. And then consequently, the other part, which is the Mars part, winds up maybe feeling frustrated. I'm always the one compromising. I'm always the one doing this. Well, maybe you're always the one doing it because you feel good about it, and you never even give the other person the opportunity to compromise with you first because you're always compromising before they ever even had an opportunity to do it. So sometimes, again, when there's a very prominent benefic planet in its own sign, it might tend to do that thing so much that it actually feels overused in that area. And the other extreme, the opposite planet, which in the case of Venus happens to be Mars, that kind of self-will, that self-assertion gets hidden and becomes a sort of frustration. So you want to watch that too. If you have Venus in Libra, notice this feeling that I'm always the one compromising, I'm always the one doing this, and realize it's because you like it, you enjoy it, and let others compromise once in a while. If it's a transit and Venus is going through Libra, it's usually a good time regardless of where Venus is in your chart. It's a good time to reach out and to interact with others and to connect with others in a way that is harmonious. So Venus in Libra, one of the great placements where the planet is in its own element and bringing its power out in full glory, initiating harmonious interactions with others, driven by beauty, desire, the desire to enjoy life and to be happy. The most basic desire we have when Venus is in Libra, we're able to be happy, we're able to feel joyful, and we want to do that with others. And the easiest way to feel joyful and harmonious with others is to please them and compromise with them, but we might do it too much, and then at the expense of our own individuality. So keep that in mind.